Pastor Frost, lead us in prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I pray, I want to say something. This month is 25 years since my family moved to Blissfield. And I figure if you put 25 years in, you get to say something. All right. My wife and I, we love Blissfield. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do. All right. Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much. Lord, it is a privilege to live in a community like we have. And Lord, these folks here have come together as trustees and guardians of our way of life. And we appreciate their service, what they do. We know they've got tough decisions to make and directing our community. We pray that you would give them wisdom. We pray that you would give them a good meeting here tonight. And Lord, we just pray your blessing and we ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Frost. Roll call, Lisa.
James Eitzen,
Present.
Glenn Dusa,
Here.
Bill Gritzmaker,
Here.
Mike Gunner,
Present.
Jerry Hayes,
Here.
Eric Rogers,
Here.
Timothy Waters,
Present. Somebody make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting of July 22nd.
Move to approve the minutes of July 22nd, 2024 as presented.
I'll support.
He's like a rocket.
Whenever you're ready, Lisa.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
James,
Yes, thank you. Moving on to presentations and communications, we have Asia Hawkins. CEDO Fellow of Florence.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
It's great to see you all. Everyone doing okay.
Yes, how are you?
Very well, thank you. It's great. If I talk like this, can you hear me? Okay.
If you could put that mic just a little closer to you, that would be delightful.
Okay.
That's a big girl voice.
I know, right? I don't have one yet.
Yes, you do.
Okay. So, welcome to the world of fellowship, and we have had the assignment of being in our host villages, or communities, for the past 15 months. And so us 10 fellows, or 9 of us now, one of them left for another position, 9 fellows had to do final presentations. And so last week, or 2 weeks ago, we went to Lansing to gather and provide our final presentations to the CDOM and the NEDC staff. And so I am to provide my final presentation to you all and entertain any questions, comments, and all of those things. So Lisa is going to share the slides. You're welcome to look to your left or to your right, or not. And I'm going to look at my slides so I can see. And Lisa, please, thank you. This is just a little background. We always provide a little information on our host communities. And so a lot of this information I got from the Wikipedia, and some of it I got from just working here, actually. And I provided that to the staff. Moving on to the next slide. One of the questions that I always got during my fellowship is, what is a fellow? So I looked it up, and a fellow simply is a professional who works on projects aimed at improving the social, economic, and environmental well-being of a community. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, the next slide, my dear Lisa, is just a comprehensive overview of the objectives that Danielle and Laura shared with me coming here. So one of the goals for the fellow is to help the village of Blissfield cross the finish line of being redevelopment ready community certified. And then the second one was to revamp the village and the DDA website The third one was to focus on projects which enhance the village, which goes back, of course, to the definition of being a fellow. So looking a little bit closer at goal number 1, which was what? To be redevelopment ready, community certified. We crossed the finish line, whoop, whoop, on time, and not without any challenges. Some of the challenges were turnover and communicating with the vendors, timeliness, all of that. But nevertheless, we've done it. And our official date of being a RRC certified community was March 22nd of this year. And then we celebrated on the 17th of June. Goal number 2, wow, you're good at that, Lisa, thank you. Goal number 2 was to revamp, update the village and the DDA website. So what was on both of the websites was a good amount of information. A lot of it was outdated, some links were not clicking to the correct place, and some of the photos were outdated as well. So as you know, Lisa, could you please click twice? I think I have 2 photos there. Thank you. So a lot of the pages were updated. You know that I took photos with all of you, some of you willingly, most of you very joyful about taking photos. And we uploaded them on the website. And Danielle actually, I don't know how she did it, created a lot of pages on the village website with all the information that you all have year round. Softball, volleyball tournaments, all that stuff. And she managed to do that as well. So it's great that the fellow, I was not the only one doing everything. The community has pitched in, completing some projects as well. And we're going to goal number 3, which is to focus on some type of enhancement projects. And one of them was Pure Michigan project. We involved all of the businesses that were catered to tourism. And these businesses were going to go on to the Pure Michigan website, which is through michigan.org. And we hosted 2 different trainings for the business owners to be on to maintain their page on the Pure Michigan site. And some of them came out, some of them didn't. Nevertheless, I think we put more than 20 businesses on the Pure Michigan website, and this is quite popular. They have like 1.5 million views every year and things like that. The next enhancement project was the T-Mobile grant. It was on that same page. Thank you, but it was the T-Mobile grant that I applied for. It's happened. I submitted the application in June. And so every season they award people. So our next notification will be mid-August, which is any day now.
Or that particular grant you're saying, Nisha?
That is correct. And so, thank you. This implementation, this hometown grant, T-Mobile grant, is for the entryway sign. Yes. So 2 of them, and we will know, I believe Danielle has applied for this grant once before, so it is quite competitive. And the amount is $50,000 that they award, up to $50,000. And the next slide, dear Lisa, would be another slide of enhancement projects, and this is the implementation grant. This $10,000 award came from CDON. And this is for the basketball courts. We have decided to upgrade those. On the left, I have photos of what was of the basketball courts on the exterior of the building. And then we had KB come out, they seal coated the asphalt there, and then we peeled off the chipped paint and rust from the existing basketball poles and then repainted them. And we are waiting on the backwards. They are coming soon. A little bit more of a hold on that than I was hoping for. All right. So the final impacts. So we have final impact. I have this on my slide. It did not show up on what you are seeing. So I'm looking at final impacts. We talked about residents engaged, businesses engaged, and state agencies engaged, everything like that. And if you are interested, I can provide the statistics to you all. All right, so the fellows are to provide recommendations. I'm like, what? We provide you all recommendations, you've been doing this, but hey, fresh eyes, maybe yes, maybe no, who knows? But one of the recommendations I have for you all is to complete the implementation project. Danielle will be the point of contact for that. She's had skin in the game from day one, so she's got that as far as the basketball court goes. And then the T-Mobile hometown grant, look out for that. Danielle has contacts for that, as well as I do. I just signed up for the alert. I'm living here now, I'm not going anywhere, so I'm interested to see that these projects are completed as well. And then stay the course, stick to the plan, dear folks. And if you don't like the plan that you have, then write a new one and stick to that one. And then, of course, choose 1 or 3 platforms and master those updates. So platforms as far as like social media goes and or the website. And yeah, Lisa, Laura, I mean, everybody works so hard in it. And it's like, how do they have time to update social media and do the website as well? So maybe just picking 1 or 2. Updating them as best as they can. And then, of course, stay hydrated. When you all are making big decisions, stuff work like that, you gotta stay hydrated. It's very important, even if it's hot or cold. And I really appreciated seeing you all work. And one of the last couple of slides we have here is my personal growth and development. I've initially wanted to be a fellow because I wanted to grow and develop personally. So I've had a lot of opportunities to do that. I moved from Oakland County to here, and this happened in June 2023. I mean, the villagers, you all have been so hospitable to me and very welcoming and opening, even if it is just a wave or a nod or a dog barking at me. I take that as love as well. And again, I will say that I have appreciated to see all of you working so hard and diligently in real time with real projects that are happening and seeing that having master plan, economic plan, and all of these plans in place so that y'all can refer back to and see that. That's pretty cool stuff. Not a lot of people get to experience that, and I do. So I thank you all. And the last slide is, I thank you for your time and commitment and involvement to your own home, your village, the state of Michigan, and yourselves, of course, too. If you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain them.
Any questions for Aisha?
Why, sir? Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
I have 2 to be exact. When you have time, I don't know when your actual last date is. Would you, on our trustee page, put down our email address and our phone numbers? Yeah, those are really important on our trustee pages because a lot of people want to connect with us. And they're like, well, in fact, when, you know, how do I connect this? We'll go to the page and it'll have my email and my phone number and it's not there. So if you could kindly put those down before you exit, I'd appreciate that. And then the next thing is.
Yes, I can.
What's next for Asia? So when you're done here, what's next?
Well, I'll jump up and down and dance around, celebrate for a little while. And then I will work very, very hard on my business, which is a Sunrise Secret Service.
Okay.
Yeah, my holistic business.
Well, good luck with that.
And I also have petitioned a new job description to you all for special projects. You all have a lot of capital improvement projects in the works, in the making. And I was thinking perhaps having someone who's focused on those projects specifically that has had communications with MDC folk and et cetera, that knows of these things, maybe you all would be interested in having someone part-time on contract, like me. So read it over and.
That's
What's your response?
Any other questions for Asia?
No, I'm just comment. Thank you for your time here. We appreciate your work and especially getting us over that finish line for redevelopment readiness. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll echo those sentiments. It's been a pleasure working with you and best of luck, whatever comes next. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Ninth agenda.
Vote to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll support. You. Lisa.
Bill,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
James,
Yes. You, public comment, I'll open it up for public comment items on the agenda, items not on the agenda. No, so Connie was gonna be here tonight, unfortunately, she couldn't make it, so we're gonna reschedule it.
And she did ask me to apologize to you all. She will be at the next meeting. To talk about the depot foundations, but her husband was not feeling well and she did not make it, so. She did send her apologies.
I'll open it to council then for any unfinished business.
I have an item, please.
Sure.
It is, Danielle, status with our ordinances. I know we've been, plugging along with them. And, didn't know where we might be with any particular ordinances, plural. Ordinance.
Like rewrites. is that-
Yes, ma'am.
So I had started a couple and then I really have paused because I've been hyper focused on budget and wrapping up some projects that we are trying to get done while the weather's still nice. So I have not worked on that here. My plan was after budget to pick them back up and try to get some of those wrapped up. I have I think a list of 13 that have just come from staff. If you guys have something specific you want, I say staff, I actually, that's staff and or council. If you guys have something else that's not already on my list, or if you let me know, I'll make sure it's on there. But hoping to get those here shortly. And then we've got a few, like building codes are being adopted and updated by the state of Michigan. We'll need to follow that, so I've added that. So some of them will be fairly straightforward, and then I do have a couple of rewrites as well, but that's kind of my plan if you guys are okay with that, but budget just takes a lot out of me.
It does, totally understand. And then the, again, pronunciation of the item, the pole in the middle of the sidewalk, dog park. Ballard,
They are ordered, the signs are in, I actually am
it's a
really.
couple more weeks. I looked last week.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought they were gonna be delivered while I was gone last
Mm-mm.
week and they were not. Thank you for checking,
Mhm.
Lisa. But as soon as those come in, I've already, Brent and I talked about them, so they are. They can be removed so that when DPW needs to plow or do anything, so they'll have a permanent base and then they get locked onto that base. If in the event that we had to remove them, but we'll work on getting those up.
Okay, so you're saying, Lisa, September-ish,
Yes,
can
I believe that's what it
double check
was.
the date too and let you guys know.
okay, I'll just jot down September. Ish. That's all I have, James, thank you.
Look good, thank you, they left off the 5% wage increase and talked about the budget. I'd like to revisit it. So if we can put it on the committee of the whole meeting agenda for Monday.
Yeah, well, we've got to talk about it before we pass the budget. You want that? We'll add that to.
Wages and final budget discussion.
Have
Some notes about the media director, please.
Up to you. Well, is it new business?
Well, it has to do with the scale. wage increase. So we talked about, if he works over 40 hours, we would have to pay overtime. If she, stays at 40 hours a week, we wouldn't have to pay that, and we could just do a 5% wage increase. I'm recommending that the DDA director doesn't work overtime. And just plan a week accordingly, even when events are scheduled. And then rely on the board members of DDA to help the director stay within that 40 hours. And also, as far as economic development, I don't think it's the events that are helping us to grow economically. I would like to see businesses going into the old BMC site. Saks, Myers, Brassworks. We can get businesses in there that would help us to grow economically. The events might be nice, maybe we're having too many of them.
So I would encourage you to come out to a DDA meeting, because the Laura Nichols is directed by the DDA director, it's directed by the board. And Mike can attest to this, we have spoken about that. There has been a major shift in focus, but like everything else, it takes time. So Laura does try to do as much economic development as possible, but she is very busy. So we actually decreased her workload, the amount of scheduled events, we crossed the number of them out, hoping to relieve some of that pressure on her to perform those, focus more on that economic development. But good points. I've started reading over your list. I do encourage you to come out to the next DDA meeting, voice your concerns, either as a council member or member.
Well, you're kind of talking about two issues. You're talking about this federal law, correct? Whichever is going to have to increase your wage up to a certain extent, or paid overtime as a hourly employee. So I guess that's the broader picture, and I kind of I'm 100% on board with Tim. Just on the amount, can we afford for that full-time position, and how do we go about achieving the physical improvements, the physical enhancements, having the events, that sort of thing, with a budget that's so tight as is being spent on a director. I agree. Something I would definitely be willing to discuss.
I think
Definitely before we set a budget, I think it's crucial that we.
When's the next DDA meeting? Because they also set their budget, so they really should, because they approved the budget. It was not unanimously, but they did recommend that to council. And Laura, when we talked about this at the DDA meeting, she even said that you guys had the option of having your work 40 hours and not the overtime. So I really think we need to make sure to include that board so that they don't feel like we've overstepped them at all. Like the points you're bringing up are valid, and I think it's a discussion that needs to be had. But I think it needs to go to DDA and then come to the council as well, because she does report to them, like Mike said. But to clarify, and I may not have been clear on this in the budget, so I apologize if I was not. The new federal rule sets the minimum wage requirement for salaried employees. So she is currently, that's a salaried position. We have the option of moving her up to that minimum required.
What is that number,
for-
Danielle?
It's,
55.9?
I thought it was 52. I'm gonna have to double check now. I apologize. On January 1, it's 52 something, I believe. It's
Okay.
right now, I think 48 something.
Okay.
So our recommendation, either she works the 40 hours and no overtime, and one of the concerns with that is her job right now, she cannot do what she does with 40 hours. So if she's only working 40 hours, then something would need to give. Otherwise, if we were going to keep her salary, or want to pay her where she's working more, it makes more financial sense for us to bump that salary than to pay overtime, because we would pay more in overtime costs than what we would in increasing that salary. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, I guess, moving forward. But again, I do think valid points and good discussion, but it should be had through the proper channels.
It's a lot more because. You know, going back to the wage study and whatnot that we did last year, that position literally takes up the entire TIF collection. With benefits and with wages. And then we're also chipping in from the general fund, we're chipping in from the general fund for economic development, for DPW wages to do things downtown, paint decorations, clean up the garbage, all that stuff. So again, when we're trying to tighten up, I guess, our budgets and our spending, we need to look at, again, what are the luxuries and what are the necessities?
We would not have a DDA/Main Street program without a leader, somebody at that helm.
Correct. Yeah.
You
I'm not-
go
I'm not
back
saying
to
not that
Chamber of
position.
Commerce or something along those lines.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I didn't recommend cutting the position. I'm not recommending cutting. the position.
Okay, that's what. I'm hearing you kind of say, what am I missing? Because you're saying. If that person
I'm
was not
saying
there,
at that
then you
wage,
would have that.
at that wage, it makes it a challenge for the DDA to accomplish anything else above and beyond paying that director. And I'm not sure that I'm seeing the full benefit of a full-time director.
So then what are you suggesting? If you're not saying.
There's a lot of different options. We could change hours, we could go to hourly.
Okay, gotcha, Mike. You're not saying to eliminate that point person.
Correct.
You are not.
Not at this period, no. I've discussed it in the past and I pushed for a part-time position. But again,
But you're saying
that's up
from
to the board.
the number portion of it.
Correct.
Daniel, I just want to summarize what I'm understanding to make sure I'm clear on this. So I'm hearing you say, right now, Laura is obviously doing over 40 hours, okay? With the new law taking effect in January 1 of 2025, that salary would increase. So we have two options, either A, to go to that minimum salary increase. And then we would go ahead and have to pay her hourly overtime. That's option one. Or option two, what I'm understanding at this time is to go ahead and bump up the salary past the state's requirement so that it would encompass, it would encompass the minimum wage and not have to be charged the overtime. Am I saying that correctly?
Or you are, but you have option 3. So you have 3 options. Option 1 is that you increase her wage to the minimum federal required wage to maintain her as an exempt employee, so a salaried employee. That's option 1. Option 2 is that she is paid, you don't bump it to the minimum, you pay her hourly, and if she works over 40 hours, you're then required to pay her overtime. Option 3 is that she would be hourly. If she works over, you pay that, but that you say we are not allowing overtime, 40 hours and that's it.
That's the third way.
And, right, and if you go with that third option, then the DDA board and Laura, and really you guys are probably gonna have to help with this, will need to determine what does she do now that is no longer going to be a priority or happen, because that's, I'm not saying that's not an option, and I get what Tim and Mike are saying, but if that's the route you go, she cannot continue the same level of work that she does now
Right.
in 40 hours.
There's no way.
So those are kind of the breakdown of the 3 options.
Correct me if I'm wrong. EDA board does not fall under. It's like the library, it's quasi,
But we still officially approve any budget.
we officially approved the budget, but
So
You're appointed by the village council.
you do have some authority over them. It's different than like planning commission or Parks and Rec. But it's not quite to the extent that the library board is.
correct.
Because they do have their own authority, like taxing authority, they do have some of their own guidelines and rules that you guys have given to them, but you do kind of oversee, like, they can't just go do whatever with no approval and input from the council.
Right.
When it comes to budget especially, you guys have that final approval.
So I bring that up because we can make the demands of the board. But they may not accept it, so then, we just just be aware that there's gonna be some negotiations at some point.
And I think that's what I wanted to say is this, I think would be a better discussion to have with the board because it is a volunteer board who. And Laura reports to them directly, like they oversee this and I would never want anybody to feel like their opinion or they weren't valued in their perspective and their thoughts on this, because they're the ones that are helping Laura to manage those. Her goals and the program's goals and applications into the future and in the current fiscal year, so.
So 2 weeks ago, Wednesday, then we have started so this Wednesday, 7 p.m., 6 p.m. here is the next DDA meeting.
I'm not sure though that the DDA board is crystal clear in.
But Laura's
That's
gonna
it.
talk.
Laura, I thought this meeting this week was canceled really quick. Did Laura cancel this week?
I think she's gotta be.
Barb's shaking her head, yes, I don't have my computer in front of me, but I remember an email, either rescheduling or canceling. From Sunday.
It is normally this Wednesday, but
Right.
I just
I
wanted
have it
to
in my phone.
clarify that, I apologize, and I'm sorry I interrupted, I just.
She changed the July meeting to a week or two later.
Okay.
And
Did she
then
push it
canceled
back?
At the same time, she canceled August.
We might.
Double check on it.
Yeah, we might need to reschedule that. Well, we have time after our September budget to approve the budget. September DDA meeting to then approve the budget.
This is the thing to keep in mind too, is we comply with the federal rule as it is right now until January 1. So you could adopt the budget and give her the 5% increase effective October 1 with the other employees if that's what they get. And then you have a little bit of time before January 1 is when you would need to determine how we're moving forward with her wage. So you do have a little bit more wiggle time room. I would definitely, whatever, if that's what you're going to do, I'd at least give her what the other employees are getting in the meantime, so that she's not going that period with nothing.
Yeah, so going back to Tim's point, we're gonna get this on the committee of the whole agenda. For next month.
Ooh, she's full, then.
Yes.
Well, I think,
No, I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying.
yeah,
Can
but
we-
let's
let me
have that
let
conversation
me just
first.
understand.
Because we're
What
still budgeting.
would they, September, okay? What date is the September meeting? And then, I'm just saying, this is next meeting.
Wednesday.
Yeah, okay, so it's 11th, so then we would have a meeting after that, second.
That's a Wednesday.
And to have that discussion, I'm just saying, James, would behoove us to wait on that one. To have a committee of the whole specifically for DDA. That's my suggestion. I just think that's an awful lot of next month, Monday.
Yeah,
You got,
well, so you guys just went through budget. And it's all fresh. Do you wanna wrap that up?
we're not ready, we can't wrap it up without the DDA. Although,
Well, we would have to sort of have this board's ideas presented to the DDA and then. And then hear back to the DDA, that's what I'm thinking. I'd like to have clarification from this board as to what it's expecting from DDA.
I don't-
Present it to DDA and then let them decide, because we adopted a budget from Indeed. So we have to amend that budget.
I get the cart before the horse, no?
We had to
It's kinda like
present a budget so it would get worked into your budget workshop.
Okay. The August 19th, committee of the whole is the steel trucks, tennis court, parks and rec, and then the wages, that's 4 big blocks of things.
Well, I would present that we wages and budget first and then work through what we can. And if not, push something back to the September.
And I may have another item on that agenda as well, I'm waiting for confirmation. Not that we can't add more, I just want you to know.
We don't have to work through the whole agenda in a committee of the whole.
Well, all of those items are part of the budget, those we sort of kind of do.
Well, then let's just,
It'll just be a long,
yeah,
it'll be a lengthy meeting.
email it one at a time.
Yeah, I think there's a book called that.
Yeah.
know, I can work through two of those pretty quickly, so.
Okay. Well, I,
Woo, all right. So we're gonna add that to the committee of the whole. All right. Good deal. So next DDA meeting definitely September. Right, yeah. Right. Still on unfinished business. Bill? Okay, this time.
We'll try to make it quick, but, I talked with Danielle earlier about getting the library vote broken down by municipality. I don't want to drag it out. Some she's gonna work on and try to get us, an idea. I think that'll help us become, or future council come to budget time. Who voted for, who's in favor of the library or who's not, or what municipality was strongly for or strong against. More so concerned village residents and how they're feeling. I think they think that'll help us to guide us. How we want to move forward with that potential, discuss, we roll back or not. Based on yes versus no numbers. I think that'll give us a bit more information on the determination in the future.
Yeah, so that was an interesting idea. Thanks for that.
And also on the water, say, the 10% setting aside, capital improvement. Well, for the water, again, it's election season, but it's also, again, get the information out to the people, the right information out to the residents, I want them to know what is it costing to produce the water that's an in and out. And as well as are we able to expend those extra funds that we're setting aside to start those infrastructure improvements? If we can, if we can't, how long do we have to sit on them before we can really, because people want to know why is their water rate where it is? And where are the infrastructure improvements? Are they gonna happen now? Are they gonna happen in the future? I say if we're setting that money aside now, and we have a project that comes down the pipe that we can afford, then we should be able to utilize that money to start that project.
What kind of-
Well, that's what we're not sure if we can or not. Again, it's how much does the DEQ requires to hold the trial
USD.
or USDA, sorry.
oh, okay, USDA money, and then how we, could we talk about that for budget, when we can start to use it?
Yes.
Might tell that, gotcha.
That's,
Well,
yeah,
okay, thank you, everyone. Moving on to new business. Keep it motion approved payroll.
We need to approve the payroll register for July 2024 in the amount of $150,539.15.
Support. Move, Eric. Giving it to Eric.
Also vote that.
Lisa, if you will.
I didn't give it all out.
Tim,
Yes.
Mike,
yes,
Gwen,
Yes.
Bill, Eric,
Yes.
Jerry,
yes.
James,
Yes. Account payable.
I move to approve the accounts payable for the period of July 10th, 2024 to August 13th, 2024. In the amount of $283,914.54.
Support.
Okay, one or two of them.
Lisa, my dear.
Mike,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Bill, Tim,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
James,
Yes, thank you. Lastly, approve shuffle board report removal. We have a recommended motion to hire Susan to be excavating during the pool demo. They've also removed all the two shuffle boards. How many ports are there? 5, 6, 6.
There's 8.
Two at least together.
Yes.
I would have the same thing.
The
Yes,
two-
we will not have a,
two
yeah,
best ones.
yeah,
Electric, everything else, all the benches, or no, we're gonna keep that.
some of that electric will have to stay, some of it, the benches and some of that's gonna go. And then we will work on getting the two, we'll clean that whole area up and get the two, kind of cleaned up and looking better as well. But we'll do that portion in-house. We were actually planning to do it all in-house, however, we're running out of summer and, So they're going to be there already to do the old pool demo, so we reached out to them to just try to get it done in one fell swoop and be a little bit more efficient and effective, hopefully. Because if we do it in-house, we will have to push that project out, just because we've got a lot of projects that we're trying to wrap up and get finished.
Which ones are we gonna say, like one end or in the middle?
They're towards the sand volleyball courts.
And then that'll make room for those nice expensive concrete.
Well, that is not in the budget, so we will not be getting those next year, but it will make room for more grass.
They were very nice. But I did not see any, buds or. Yeah, bags, no.
Because they didn't put air tank.
I know.
I'll, move that council authorize $8,550 for removal of the shuffleboard course by Slazarski has speaking.
Support.
You.
One quick question on that, yeah, it's not a pool that has a drain, correct? Are we gonna maintain it? I keep forgetting, I believe it goes to the river, so should we cap that or extend that pipe when we infill that?
I had no idea there was a drainage pipe.
Because.
Yeah, I will need to check on that.
Yeah, if there were ever pavement or whatever,
Big pool, obviously.
I believe so, yeah.
There's a drain in the.
It goes to somewhere, but we may want to cap that and at least bring it up to grade, so we have it in the future, and maybe work.
Which one is the kiddie pool?
Yeah, there is one in the waiting pool, or kiddie pool. Too, as well.
It goes to the river.
I'm not sure where it goes, but I believe there is a graded drain in that pool as well.
So how did water from the river not come back into the pool?
Well, we're checking out where it goes, but. If we were up pavement.
Probably above the water, but it probably already above the water.
I'm not even sure that we could do that in a floodplain and be kosher with legal. You guys are raising some red flags for me right now. Maybe in bed, but not.
Spent a lot of time.
I'll talk to Brent about it and get some more information. You guys are stressing me out a little bit. Okay.
Okay, Lisa.
I'm gonna be more stressed when I talk to Brent about it.
Jerry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Well, he had gone out there in order to take a look at it and bid it.
They
So I
did.
assume that they would recognize.
I will talk to Brent about it. I'll get some, and I will let you guys know.
Well,
That drain is pump out too.
Yeah.
He's on vacation. I'll wait until he's back next week.
Any questions on the reports?
No, but I would like this to occur, Danielle, if you would please. I would like to have an idea of how much the River Raisin Festival does cost totally with all of the DPW, electricity, garbage, etc. I know we've done it in the past. I think that might be something for some dialogue with for your first year for the River Raisin Festival. I don't know what their thoughts are. I don't know. I think that perhaps we need to have a little bit of a discussion on that with the process from the village perspective. Okay, if you wouldn't mind, thank you, absolutely. If you would tell Steve, I loved his report, thank you. Just because I like knowing what's going on out there, man. DPW plans on
That'll
providing
be the
reports,
second meeting of the month.
that's what they're gonna give it,
Yes, there's okay.
beautiful, thank you.
Okay, anything else more for the reports? Council discussion, I'll open it up for council discussion.
I got a couple. Just want to congratulate the Friends of the Library and the District Library Board for their hard work. I was pretty happy to see that go through on first ballot, so kudos to them and congratulations for all their hard work. And also thanks to everybody who volunteered for Blissfield on Tap Saturday. James and I were down there, we had a great turnout, Danielle was there, Lisa was there, a bunch of volunteers, so. It was a good night, a lot of people there, and everybody seemed to enjoy the event.
Good.
I have a question, for the board and Danielle, for you as well. Just thinking ahead, at this, upcoming election, we have 8 residents who are vying for the position for, trustees or council. That, I don't recall that happening for a long time, with having that many interested parties. I'm wondering if it's legal now, if it's viable, you guys think it would be pertinent. Could we do something where all of the candidates kind of come together and answer questions? Is that legal to do here in this vicinity? Meaning, we could take questions, and I don't even know who would give us the questions, and we could answer questions and be on video so that residents can watch it on YouTube. Is that appropriate, inappropriate? Is that something we should consider? If we do it once, does that mean we have to do it all the time? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I would not think it'd be a village sanctioned event. You'd have to have, they do forums that you enter in for different offices, and usually somebody like Siena Heights would put it on, or NAACP, or one of those organizations. They come in as the sponsor, and then usually one of the local radio stations broadcasts it, and then we'll also put it on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys as a council would like to see or not see? Is it opening up a Pandora's box? I mean, what are your thoughts on?
Well, the
You know,
papers, Len Connect and the Advance, you just send out a questionnaire, but
they
absolutely
do.
seeing people speak. I remember Pat White talking about, an open forum, Q&A one time when he ran, and there was a number of people that flagging it up.
They did it fast, they have built the Legion.
Yes, yeah,
You'd almost have
What
to
did they do
find
at the
somebody.
meeting?
they just got a.
We just kind of did it around Rob, almost a debate, but just. kind of
They're at
asked
the meeting.
questions. Yeah,
Oh,
I know that you say that, I remember that.
Yeah, Barb, you have
The Advance posted it. And I believe it was held at the Legion, but the Advance came up with all the questions too.
Yeah.
okay.
so if. I don't know if we could post it.
We really should, it's a very fine line, because we should not be campaigning or using the village as any, like, the appearance that it's our platform. I think it's a great idea, it just, we shouldn't moderate it, we shouldn't ask the questions, we shouldn't host it. So that we don't want it to be affiliated or like to appear that we're endorsing specific people or not endorsing them.
Okay.
Would you guys become, I think the best avenue would be to reach out to some of your local media sources, the Advance, Telegram, WLEN, any of them.
Would you
just
guys
use
be opposed if I
something.
reached out to the Advance if they've done that before at the Legion? Would you guys be okay with
Say,
that?
Marcia, if you're listening,
Flash, but let's.
Gwen's got a home run of an idea.
Well, it just is, sometimes when things are videoed, you can actually see what people sound like, their presentation, their demeanor, things of that nature. It might be something with the.
Well, if they do it at the presidential and vice presidential level or national politics, I don't see
I
why.
will go
it's
ahead
not.
and Jerry, maybe something with your station, I don't know enough about that, is that something?
I don't really want to get into politics with
Gotcha,
it. I've
okay.
had
Right,
other
maybe
people
you-
ask about it, and I abstain.
Maybe you can guide me to somebody for the radio, or maybe just the Advance thing. I don't want to do a whole bunch of stuff. So I'll do this, how about this, I'll connect with Marsh Loader, and I'll ask about the Advance, and if they take it, they take it, if they don't take it, then I'll go with the radio. Does that sound all right, with you guys?
Grab a service, well, maybe one of the service clubs will be.
Who's the service club, what do you mean by service club?
Oh,
Oh, okay, gotcha,
maybe.
okay. All right, thanks Danielle, and thanks everybody, thank you.
Okay.
That's all I had, thanks.
I got a long one, sorry.
Okay.
Is there any way that we can get ID, get rid of spam type on our email? I'm serious about that, I think it's like that, I let us pick and choose what we get. Just don't turn it off, I think, I don't wanna miss something that I'm part of. And I don't wanna-
I feel like that's
Yeah,
kind of funny.
you know, my stuff in the junk. Yeah.
Like, you have one, you
Yeah,
got
better with the thing.
just reading down the list of.
I don't find it necessary.
I will say this, at the bank, we have to have these protections for insurance. And audit purposes, so like you're just not gonna get insurance, cybersecurity insurance, whatnot, if you don't.
Yeah, but you can click on, like, I get stuff from Michigan Municipal League, and I clicked on it numerous times to allow it.
Exactly.
And every time it does not allow it, it blocks.
Yeah, no, I know, I know, yeah,
It's
Right.
frustrating.
I can talk to IT, as well about the settings on it. I don't think it's in our best interest to completely get rid of it, because then we have no protection. And unfortunately, cyber and email I mean, it is a real threat that's happening pretty frequently, and
but
I-
Jerry's
I
point,
think Chief could probably echo some of that.
to Jerry's point, like that's going up to municipalities across the state and. I bet you they would wanna know they're ending up with spam box.
I don't think at the IT level, they should be able to add, I don't know, to the whitelist.
Well, that's, I think we just need to change the settings on it, not eliminate it completely.
It's funny, though.
So I can reach out to them about doing that, and I will let you guys know when that's done, and then let's monitor it and see if we need to take any further action from there. I just, like I said, I hate to completely get rid of it because it does catch actual spam emails. And I know I've been allowing things, and once I allow them, it does come through after that, so. I'm not sure if you're allowing it, why it wouldn't moving forward. Cause I do know there initially it was a lot, but yeah, let me talk to them about that and see what we can do as far as the parameters and settings on it.
It's funny though, because it lets all the MML listserv stuff come through. So like when somebody asks a question, everybody from around the state chimes in, all those come through, but the actual emails from. everybody else.
But you know,
That's
that's
my,
my.
yeah.
Bill, Tim. Just a couple things echoing Jerry's sentiment. The primary was the start of the election season, so my hat goes off. I tip my cap to anybody that put their name out there to run. It's an honorable thing to do to serve your community, and congratulations to all those moving on. Good luck coming up in November. Blissfield has had an extremely busy festival season, capping off with Blissfield on Tap Saturday night, and they've been incredibly organized and attended. But these committees need more help. The River Raisin Festival is like 3 or 4 people. I know that the Bicentennial Committee needed more help. We needed more help, volunteer help at the Blissfield on Tap. So if you are looking for an outlet, Parks and Rec also needs more volunteers for some of their events. So please, you know, if you attend these things, try to give back every once in a while. I'll just say that to the public. And then lastly, congratulations to the library. I think that was awesome. We sounded the alarm and we sped them up quite significantly. Sort of like the redevelopment ready. We seem to be able to speed through these things. So even though it's government, it's bureaucracy, if you work hard enough, you can get through it. So congratulations to them. That was all deserved. And I can't wait to see what they do with their before I move off of council discussion. We've only been here about an hour. We want to move one of these committee of the whole agenda items. So
I was wondering the same thing.
you want to have a half-hour discussion on wages and budget right now, specifically? Tim and the are you ready for it or are we not?
Can we do that?
Well, it's council discussions. We can discuss anything we want. We can't
Okay.
make any, can't make any motions like that.
I'm not opposed to having something, choosing one of these, having a discussion.
And then
Wait on, I will prefer to wait on the budget, because I got a few other little tweaks.
okay,
But talk
But
about,
obviously the bridge, what are we gonna do? I mean.
we
there's
can
not a
talk
lot
about
we
the
can
Steel
do.
Bridge, yeah.
no, we're in council discussions, yeah, all right, so. Steel Bridge,
Can you remind us what the status is of the Steel Bridge, refresh our memories?
Yes.
And not that we can't revisit this at the meeting as a whole, but I think if we can.
Or should I just put in my budget, like, you go around.
To out.
No, I can do this. So the engineers looked at this. Currently, the load rating has been reduced. We do have signs up requesting that there's no like ATVs or golf carts or anything like that, and it's limited to 5 people. We can actually have more than 5 people. It's greater than that, but
He says 10 or 7.
or maybe it's 10, yes. The engineers provided a recommendation to you guys in February of last year. And their recommendation was to remove and replace it, and the estimated cost to do that was $850,000.
Did we have a time frame for that? For the removal and replacement? I don't recall.
I don't think we did.
No,
No.
I think we all,
So they said that we should continue doing inspections every couple of years. Given the age of the bridge, it's 26 years in the condition of it. They did recommend that we power wash it to get the salt off in the spring, which we've started doing. We really don't have large crowds on the bridge with the exception of maybe fireworks during the festival. The last couple of years, the festival, we kind of try to monitor that and watch it just to make sure it's not too much. We've not had issues the last few years with it. That we did not do another inspection this summer. We would be due for one next year. But they did not give a time frame.
Let's go back. Dig into that, and obviously. I've been a council long time, I've made plenty of bad choices and good choices, hopefully some, but. So I'm not gonna rain on that, but that bridge was purchased as self-weathering. And estimated to last, what, 25 years, correct, when it was built? I believe. So again, not a long time span, so I don't want to get the perception that it was. Used, misused, not maintained, that sort of thing. Okay, that was the decision that was made then. Problem is now that we're right back to the boat where we were 6 years ago, bridge issue, and obviously that's gonna be an ugly point of concern for a lot of the public.
Do you remember the cost of the Riddle Bridge?
I was gonna say.
It was built,
I was gonna say.
and it was built with the grant, correct?
Some of it, most of it.
Most of it was built with the grant. And, but it was also stipulated, I believe, that grant, it should have been proximity of where it is. And it is, so that's done it all, you're out. I mean, it sounds to me as if we either A, start setting aside the money to remove and replace, or B, we say we're not gonna replace. And when it's done. And we use the other bridge.
Well, yeah, and then we've also got MDOT finally, at some point, having to do something with the road bridge. Do we tie it in? Do we ask them to
Right.
expand and make it wider, whatever? Do we reopen
But we
the
don't know how-
existing?
how long that'll
that
be.
was there, the sidewalk, I mean, all this stuff's been discussed.
Mhm.
But it's not getting any better, and anybody that looks under it, they're not gonna be happy. I mean, it's not a pretty sight, it's still safe, but you got those. The sort of the cross stringers that have rusted quite away, and that to me is. A little bit scary, but also, frustrating in that regard, but. Yeah, we need to do something, we need to say, like I said, in the past, we get the engineers out here, we say, can we pull this thing apart in 2 pieces like they put it in? Re-weld the cord on the bottom, can we make, 2/3 of that bridge is good, it's the bottom cord that's the problem. So what are our options, I guess, what we need to look at, and how much are the different options gonna cost? As well as just removing it, what is MDOT's plan for the future? Obviously, 223 is ugly, they're filling concrete in with tar, so that has something that's good there. But yeah, it's not gonna be a pretty discussion or process, that's for sure.
So the removal is estimated to be approximately $400,000. With the new bridge cost estimate between 390 to 450,000.
Say removal again, Daniel.
Removal of the current bridge is estimated at 400,000.
And then the replacement would be
For approximately 390 to 450,000. I mean, we've been hearing on the highway side, just. Don't know. Right. I don't know.
so that's 850 that you came up to.
Right, that's what. Just to break it out, the removal and the new. I don't know what the cost would be to.
That was, I was thinking, I think shock it is. It's literally a crane and it comes in two pieces and it's bolts in the middle and.
Give it
goes
two
in flat,
pieces,
like
it's
it's
a
a
lot
lot
of
of what it was.
There's probably a lot of remediation in there. Rust and debris and the river, that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, the abutments are good, I mean,
That is
check them all.
cost.
Well, so to Gwen's point, if you start directing traffic to the Arch Bridge. You just exponentially increase wear and tear on that. So you're gonna have to start putting money away from bridges, maintenance, repair.
But I think for our art bridge, we are we not?
We're still paying that off, aren't we?
We are still paying that off. We restained it last year. Or actually the contractor is moving in this week for the new decking. That'll be done. And then the Rotary is looking at putting some lighting there, but we've not been putting money away, but we have been budgeting maintenance. Yeah, and I think that you guys had talked about. After we got the staining and decking, we were in pretty good shape on that bridge, like putting a couple thousand away so that when we need to stain or redeck, we had some money put aside, but at this point, we've just been doing the maintenance.
And as far as replacement, why would we replace? My assumption would be we're not gonna replace it exactly where it is now, because we know that's not successful. So
You
what
could
would,
replace it maybe with a different structure and
A
a
different
different
type of-
material. That would.
I see.
So that
stand
cost
up.
estimate is reusing the same abutments, because the abutments are good. So if you relocate it to a different spot, that cost that would actually increase
Yes, it would.
and go even higher, so,
And to be quite honest with you, I don't know where to be.
Right.
yeah, and
At some point, you know, it just makes more sense to use the Arch.
I would just rather take it right off, exactly. I would just remove it after that.
Sidewalk on 223 bridge.
Nope, I'd say use the art bridge. I know that sucks, but that would be the concrete can go out there.
Not reopen the sidewalk that's existing.
There is a sidewalk on that.
Safety issue, I mean, you're close and it's a truck
Right.
that goes screaming past you.
Well, the sidewalk goes up to the road on
There
the
is, I
entire
don't disagree.
stretch, so, I mean, they would keep the quote bicycle, vehicular, whatever, more of that traffic off the Arch Bridge.
My biggest problem there right now is the guardrail on this side of the bridge prevents you from connecting
But we
back.
moved that, they used to be.
Well, yeah, and that's an MDOT thing. We're trying to get them to move guardrails and that move around.
If you talk to them, chief, about moving that.
I talked to them. Very, like, not a committed, in-depth conversation, but just, would you guys have this conversation? And they did not provide any approvals or anything, but they said, we're willing to have that conversation, but we would not pay for it. That would be at the expense of the village. But again, that was a very. I don't wanna make it sound like they committed to anything. It was a very informal conversation, just, hey, this is something we talked about. Is it something you guys would be willing to have a conversation with us about? So if that's something you guys wanna look at, I would definitely wanna have a further in-depth conversation, and I would need to find out what the cost would be to remove that guardrail. We would need to run some sidewalk from, there is some sidewalk that connects to the bridge now, but it would need to go up to that current sidewalk where the guardrail is now. And then I don't know this, I heard from an employee that was, used to be how most people traveled and they went to the pedestrian bridge because of kids. Was hit and broke his arm, he lived, he's okay, but.
Lost.
Oh, lost his arm.
During a parade.
Yeah, correct.
Memorial Day.
I'm not saying that's not an option, I just wanna make sure you know why, or my understanding of why that bridge was initially put in, was because of the safety concern. And I do agree with sidewalk being all along there, but there is a little bit of a curve right there where you can't really. The cars can't see that sidewalk, or pedestrians can't necessarily see the cars coming from a Rose Street area. And it is a little bit. Oh, I don't know, just the position, like I even always get a little bit nervous even just turning into the park there.
Well, it seems to me that we've got, I'm just kind of jotting down what we're saying here, we've got actually two options. See if I'm right or wrong. First option is to remove. With the removal, we could either A, we could use the current sidewalk down to 23, not saying that's ideal. Or B, go to the Orange Bridge. Yeah, or both, okay, yeah. And then the other option is to simply remove one, I'm gonna say, the second option is to remove and replace in the same place, but with just a different type of material. Yeah. So that's really.
Well, in addition to that, I think we learned we're supposed to be putting in salt on the bridge. I think they did for the years.
We've not known that for a long time, but when they first they used to put salt on it and then they switched to the sand. But we still do get overspray, and I'm not sure exactly when they stopped using the salt, they've not since I've been here. And I think several years before.
So there's, if we do replace it, there are things we can do to increase the longevity. Different material, washing.
And Mike, you made a good point where you're saying the initial building of the bridge, it wasn't meant to last forever and ever. So it's done its time, is that an appropriate way to say it? It's sort of.
Unfortunately, yeah.
It's meant its time.
And then I think too, we need to think about that part floods, so that arch bridge is not always accessible. There are, and I'm not saying it's all the time, but
Not often, but it's
typically at least a couple times a year, once a year. You can't even get to that.
I'm not opposed to replacing it. But. It almost seems like it should be a vote, like a village vote, and see if we can pass a village for it. I mean, that like. I would not want. To have anyone get hit on 223 because of the bridge not being able to be accessed. Or someone not wanting to just walk 100 yards or whatever, it's from 223 use the arch bridge. That 223 sidewalk is really not.
That's viable.
I will tell you that 223 sidewalk is a lot better than it was when I was a kid. And I used it all the time. And there used to be a hill right after the bridge, straight down to the park, and I rode that every day to go to the pool. That sidewalk is half again as wide as it used to be. Yeah.
It would be awesome.
That bridge deck maybe 25, 30 years ago.
Railings too.
Yeah. So.
I would like personally like see the original engineer come in and say, is it salvageable? Can we replace the bottom boards with not whether it's steel, some other type of steel or it's painted, whatever it is? Would they sign off on it? Them being the original engineers, I don't see why they wouldn't. If that company has been. Comes off in two pieces, they weld the boards on, I mean, again, like James said, 450 for demo seems ridiculous. The rest of that bridge is good. Get different bottom cords, keep it painted, to keep it maintained, keep air flowing through it, with grading or whatever, like we discussed in the past. And I think we're in a much better financial position.
We hope that company's still in existence.
Who is that company, do you know?
I'm sure it's amazing.
I was just trying to see if it was on any of the notes or information that I have. I will have to track the company down and then.
Well, I think I'd be in favor of at least having it looked at and a very serious engineering report. I'd be willing to spend some money on that.
Yeah.
So that we can at least make the most informed decision. The last time the engineers looked at it, they gave it a good look at that. But I think like an in-depth where you have the metal thickness tested and you know, really, and the original bridge builders will have a better idea of how it goes together, whether it's here as well.
Well, it also goes back to like when, Dave Bixley and Kevin Marsh were here and I said, you know, we need these representatives. Again, that's how this money gets shuffled around at a bureaucratic level. We need somebody with an in, say, hey, MDOT, I'm fighting for this portion to rebuild that bridge. You know what I mean? When they rebuild that bridge, we talk about the road diet. We talk about adding a bridge, another lane or whatever onto that bridge, because that bridge is not wide enough as is. Somebody can't make the curve. We just save some money and we contribute towards that, and we add a wider lane for bikes or for pedestrians, whatever. Again, that's the ideal solution, but I would much rather not fight to pay that and then in 7 years or 8 years or 10 years, you're gonna rebuild 223. But we could do it all one fell swoop.
When the guys came, the engineer came for the inspection, didn't they do some of that detailed stuff?
They did.
I thought they did.
I have that report. I can
Yes.
resend it to you guys.
That was a different engineering company than the actual designers.
Correct. Manning Smith did that,
Yes,
and they
they did.
sent us, exact, I just. had it
Exactly,
pulled up,
yeah.
like some measurements on some of the thickness. and
Yes, they
everything.
did.
Yeah.
But I think
When
This
you
is-
measure steel, there's a couple different ways to measure. Thickness is one, but then there's like density and there's other ways to measure steel to see the longevity. That's not.
Well, you can look at it, nothing is nothing regardless, so it's literally rusted away, it's gone. So, I mean,
There's that. There's definitely.
there's no hiding that, there's no way to that, because it's not there.
Are you sending that to us, Danielle?
I can send it to you, yes, I just had it open. I was trying to find, I was searching for the original engineer, sorry.
That's all right.
I got one.
This is,
Hogemeyer, 25th, 2014.
yeah, they weren't the original
No.
engineer.
No.
But like bridge companies have their own structural engineers on staff, so maybe we need to go to a bridge company, like who's the people that would replace this and say.
Yeah.
Can you come, what would it cost you to come look at this and evaluate if you could repair it and how much it would be? Rather than just, and I'm not saying our engineers don't know what they're doing or they're wrong, but that the bridge company and their engineer, that's their expertise, that's what they do. And I'm more than happy to do that if that's kind of the route you guys are leaning, or you feel like that would be beneficial information.
I think that's the logic of the staff. Is that the takeaway I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Let's start there. Obviously, the last engineering report we got about the building was valuable. Helped us make a decision, so. I think the same thing here, so.
Yeah, and I'll send you, I did find that, so they put exactly what the inches lost were and the percentage of loss per in that section, so. It's at like 0.09 inches, 64% loss and 1.5 square inch area.
I need a metal or just. Okay, so any other discussion on the bridge? We're gonna start there. And that'll help us make a determination. That only took about 15
Somehow
minutes.
we would put some sort of money right here and then towards that for next fiscal year, correct?
Yeah,
Where that. That's right, I don't know.
well,
You're right, no.
So you don't want to go with that.
And we know there's gonna be repairs that need to be made, so not only the engineering, but maybe the repairs as well, we start putting
Right.
money towards earmarking money to be spent on whatever it is, because at some point it will have to be either removed or replaced.
That'd be some of the library money that we
Yeah, absolutely.
And you guys do have some money budgeted for the bridge already, let me,
For the trust bridge, you're saying.
yes. We have, I'm sorry, I wasn't really prepared for you guys to talk about this, but I can
You're doing
tell you
fine.
how much here in just a second.
You're organized, you can find that stuff.
So we have. $51,761.
Say it again, Danielle.
$51,761
23 cents.
How did we get that?
because of the trust fund.
Oh, right. And that's going towards that bridge then. Good.
Yes.
Okay. So we could use that. If we needed to for the engineering, yes, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, good.
All right, 8:15. You guys let me know.
Go on. I'm cool with it.
One more?
That is work.
Okay, as much as it pains me to say this, as much as I've enjoyed the tennis courts and as much as the pickleball courts, they've got to go. They're aging. I don't see the point in putting money into fixing them. I think getting them off the school property, getting them back onto village property, getting out from underneath that water contract is the best thing for the future of the village. I do think the pickleball community especially would appreciate another venue. I'd love to see the pool site grow. So and I've used those courts to play tennis and they've been great. But it just, I don't think it's feasible to continue keeping them up. They're not being used by the school. There's no tennis club or plans to get one going. I don't know if there's a ball club or plans to get one going. But I think short term, long term, we start budgeting to move and return the current courts back to whatever it was before.
But we've got to work with the school with regard to the contract. This is contracted, correct?
Yeah, with no termination clause. It's a 50-year.
We don't have that option.
I thought if the courts weren't there,
What I thought too.
I thought we had,
Clause in there that if we were to remove the courts, we had to restore it back to the way it was.
That's easy, it was a overgrown.
Yeah, we do have to restore it back.
That's easy, but I still think we should short that. I still think we're still in a contract. So it'd be nice if it were not.
You want a copy of it? I can email it. I have it right.
Yeah, I just looked it up too. It's 50 years until it started October 10th of 2005.
I'll be dead here's
That may have been one of those years, Mike.
You're absolutely right, absolutely.
I mean, there's been a lot going on.
the cost of water, 2005 versus today. Water.
It says 50 years promised, that says that up to 6 million gallons of water. Free of all water and sewer charges for a 3-year period for irrigating athletic fields. Water in excess shall be filled.
Who would sit down?
The school shall allow parking of vehicles by person using the tennis courts. Village shall pay for the walkway to the tennis courts and the tennis court complex. We shall operate and maintain the facilities that it constructs. we have to submit for review.
Severability, whatever should be at the end.
Should be. Um. It says that. We control reservation, but that the school has first priority or reservation request. Second, the village shall restore first party's lands, which is first party's school. Disturbed during the installation of the tennis courts to the condition as existed at the time. Of the village's entry for construction. And it says the lease may be renewed for an additional 50 years upon agreement.
Sent you all the lease agreement as well as the documents that shows how much water they're using over the years. Going back to 2009.
Well, in this one, I think if people are in agreement with the removal, we should obviously offer it to the school first. They want to take over the project. If not, inform the our intentions.
And then it further says the continuance of this lease, the village shall keep said promises of every part in good repair at the expiration of the term, yield and deliver up in the same in like condition when was taken, reasonable use and wear thereof and damage by elements accepted. It's not really clear, there's no termination whatsoever. Right. I think regardless, we need a legal look at this, but I think it's 50-year lease. I think unless the school, my understanding is that unless the school and the village come to an agreement together to amend or change this lease, there's no termination clause. And again, I can send that to Dave. I know he looked at this before.
So if council's in agreement, let's send it to Dave to get his best advice.
So also reference state law on providing or whatever, providing free water, I mean, that may be the, or out, that may be our state.
And one council binding another, we just talked about this,
Right.
without that you have.
Yeah.
One council cannot bind a future council without having some, that's why a lot of municipal agreements will say, like contingent on budget or contingent, I will have something in there. So I'll ask Dave about it, but he really needs his legal advice on that.
Again, the thought was good and the intent was good, but we've had a rough phase ever since we poured that. We've had problems with the settling. Things are gonna cost a lot. We've got fence repairs, we need to reseal it. I agree, it's time to walk away. We cannot afford. If you give me that much water, or it's not an equal this with that sort of thing, and it has to be possible. I'm going forward to do any repairs there.
Well, we might not vote it, but let's see what Dave says first. If we are held by contract and it says it has to be up cap, we may not have, we may not have anything to say about that. So obviously going with Dave, that's where we need to go.
Well, I will say that having a fence around a tennis court's motion, it's not.
Can also be chasing balls.
Yeah, well, it's not, you know, it's a luxury to have a backstop, it's not a necessity. You can always just remove the fence that needs repairing. Start there, but yeah, maybe we should reach out to the schools as well. See if they are interested in taking it over, and maybe come to some agreement. I think this council's in agreement to.
Revisit.
It's
Not
move
to say
away
that
from
people
it.
have benefited from it, because again, there used to be this sort of head butting between the village and the schools where we couldn't access the track, for instance. I mean, and now people want to do that, so. It's definitely a better process and a better working relationship where, again, I don't want to see that go away. But again, it needs to be fair across the board. It should be a win-win. It all boils back down to it's everybody's tax money, but. There needs to be a win side of the village of just maintaining that thing in the amount of water that they're getting.
Just keep in mind, if we do away with it, people are gonna want it replaced elsewhere. So I'm not opposed to. Okay. 1 and 2. We'll move on to public comment because. We don't have any
So,
objections.
yes, because they're gonna Parks and Rec, we're having our meeting tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. And we want to put your information up. Okay. Great work. Thank you. Moving on to public comment, items on the agenda, items not on the agenda.
I know it's already been mentioned a couple of times, but I just wanted to also thank everybody at Blissfield on Tap. It was a extremely successful event this year. We had approximately 450 in attendance, maybe a little bit higher than that. But it takes a lot of volunteers and we had some amazing bands and breweries. And then we had cleanup done in under 30 minutes with the volunteers. It was awesome, and pulling those fence posts was not an easy task. So I just really appreciate everybody's help though.
Thank you for all your effort. Okay, ending public comment. We shortened the committee of the whole agenda. That previous
What is
change
it again, the agenda, Parks and Rec?
and wages and budget finale.
That's it.
I will not be here next Monday.
Okay. And it's your note for
It's under education.
Gotta go, man, gotta go. Okay.
I will entertain a motion.
Actually, let's have, but again, thanks to being out for having that budget, prepare for the wages, the potentials too. So thank you.
Oh, yes.
Bring that
Yeah.
so that we have that
Yes.
Monday.
Yeah, I'll have that, I'll get that added, and then I'll have the proposed wage scale. I'll try to include as much information, and then if not, I should be able to pull it up on my computer, so.
Who would like to make a motion to adjourn?
How will we adjourn the meeting?
Support. Him getting there. All right, Lisa.
Mike,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
James.
Yes, meeting adjourned. We're back on August 26th. Thank you, everyone.